All right, today we're going to get right into the tactical DNA of football. We're talking about the universal rules that connect everything, from a casual kickabout in the park all the way to a Champions League final.
So think about it for a second. You've got tiki-taka, you've got gegenpressing. What's the one thing that actually connects every single football tactic out there? Well, the answer is probably simpler and way more fundamental than you think.
It all comes down to a set of 10 core ideas, known as the principles of play. Seriously, this is like the hidden language of football. It's the blueprint behind every single move you see on the pitch.
So, what are these building blocks really? Let's break down exactly what they are and why getting a grip on them is a total game changer for any player or coach.
To put it simply, they're the universal rules for attacking and for defending. You know, formations and specific tactics, they come and go. But these principles, they are the constants. They're like the laws of football gravity.
And Game Insights analyst Luke Saunders put it perfectly. He calls them the building blocks. So you got to think of them less like rigid rules and more like tools. They give players a framework to solve problems as they're happening, live on the pitch.
Okay, so let's start building. First up, we're going to look at the 5 principles for when your team has the ball.
Principle number 1, penetration. This is the ultimate goal of any attack, right? How do we get behind that defense? It doesn't matter if it's a pass, a dribble, or a long ball over the top. The goal is always to break their lines.
But here's the thing, you can't just penetrate a brick wall. And that brings us to principle number 2, creating space. The whole idea here is to make the pitch feel as big as possible for the other team, stretching them out and pulling their defense apart to create those gaps you can exploit.
And of course, that space you've just created is totally useless if nobody runs into it. So principle 3 is all about movement. We're talking about those clever, off-the-ball runs that turn a patch of empty grass into a really dangerous opportunity.
A player on the ball should never ever feel like they're on an island, and that's where principle 4 comes in, support. This is all about making sure the person in possession always has options, whether it's a simple 5-yard pass nearby or a big switch all the way across the field.
And finally, we have the principle that kind of breaks all the other rules, creativity. This is that moment of magic, that unpredictable pass, that bit of 1v1 skill. It's the X factor that can unlock even the most organized, stubborn defense.
So that's how you attack. But, as we all know, the game is a two-way street. What happens the second you lose the ball? Let's flip the script and look at the 5 principles of defending.
All right, the very first principle of defending is delay. The absolute second you lose possession, your number one priority is to just slow them down. That tiny hesitation buys your team crucial seconds to get back and get into a solid defensive shape.
And once you're organized, it is all about principle number 2, compactness. Imagine your whole team is tied together with invisible ropes. You've got to move as one single unit, closing all the gaps and making it impossible for the other team to play through the middle.
But a compact shape can be broken if one player decides to step out and press. That is why principle 3 is so important, cover and balance. The rest of the team has to react immediately, shuffling across to plug that gap. It's defensive teamwork in its purest form, really.
Okay, principle 4 is pressing. And let's be clear, this is not just about mindless running. It's about coordinated, intelligent pressure that's applied at very specific moments, we call them triggers, to force a mistake and win that ball back high up the pitch. And that leads us to the final and maybe the most crucial defensive principle, control and restraint. Look, everyone gets excited. Everyone wants to dive in and win the ball, but the best defenders, they know when to wait. This principle is all about discipline, avoiding those impulsive dives, and choosing the absolute perfect moment to act.
So there we have it, our 10 principles. But, theory is one thing. How do you actually take this stuff and coach it on the training ground?
Well, it really starts with your language. Ditch all the jargon. Instead of control and restraint, just say wait. Instead of compactness, say hunt together. Next, try to frame it around your player's strengths. For your super fast winger, their superhero power is penetration. Make it personal for them. And finally, just be consistent. Repetition is key. Use these simple terms over and over, and they'll become your team's tactical language.
And in your training sessions, really focus on the chaos of transitions, that exact moment the ball is won or lost. Use a lot of small-sided games, because these principles just emerge naturally. A 2v2 automatically demands things like creativity and pressing. And remember, you don't always need a goal at the end of the drill. Sometimes the focus is just on the principle itself.
Okay,
I know this can feel like a ton of information at once, so let's bring it right back to you and make it super simple and actionable for your very next session. Here is the challenge. Do not try to coach all 10 principles at once. That's a recipe for disaster. Just pick one single attacking principle that you want to focus on. Maybe it's movement off the ball, just one thing.
And then do the exact same thing for defending. Pick one principle. Maybe this week it is all about delaying the attack to let your team get organized. That's it. Just one thing to look for.
And that's it, really. That is the question to take away with you today. One principle for when you have the ball and one for when you don't. So, which two principles will you bring to life for your team?